he stuck a needle in the heads of different people and it made them lighter. And he stuck another needle in their head and made them lighter. Stuck another needle in their head and made them lighter. And that's how you got white people. Right? Now check this out. Where's the lesson in that? The lesson in that is they were willing to believe in their own reality and stand by it. And stand by it. Harder than many of us stand by Islam. They were standing by, that's right, a spaceship. That's right. Right? And I dare you to say it ain't true. That's a lesson. That's a lesson. That's right, a big-headed scientist. That's how they got here. That's who they are. Dare you to say this ain't true. Malcolm going to Harvard University. That's right, spaceships. Right? No. Their own reality, willing to believe in their own reality and stick right by it and not be shooken from it. That's a lesson. Now we got the truth, the Quran and the Sunnah. And many of us don't stand like that. Many of us don't stand that hard. Many of us don't stand that firm. And we got the truth. They were willing to believe in their own reality. And you know what happens when a people believe in their own reality and they don't move from it? Other people will start believing it too. Other people will respect its existence. You know what they believe? They believe, I mean, man, I don't know. Might be something to it. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because they standing so hard with it. They standing so firm with it. That's a lesson for us to pick up. That's a lesson for us to pick up. Our own reality. And no matter what you say, no matter what you do, it doesn't change reality. That's how we got to stand with this deen. Now, let's move on. So you had Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, the Ahmadiyyas and Marcus Garvey. The Ahmadiyya influence of Marcus Garvey do say Muhammad Ali in Marcus Garvey. Members of Marcus Garvey's organization saying we should become Muslim. This organization's official religion should be Islam. Garvey not making a move on it, but not saying no either. So Garvey actually going ahead, seeing Muslim influence, Muhammad Sadiq of the Ahmadiyya coming in, speaking at Liberty Hall to some of the Garveyites, no problem, so on and so forth. Do say Muhammad Ali talking about Islam and the Islamic movement and the global Islamic movement in the Negro world, no problem, so on and so forth. Garvey's all right with it. He all right with it. Noble Drew Ali, 1913. Noble Drew Ali, Moore Science Temple in America, he's doing his thing. Islam. It's got to be Islam. But we know it wasn't really Islam. Islam, we're trying to get to its purity. Trying to struggle to get to its purity. Islam, black consciousness, without compromising the tenets of Islam. Serious job. Serious job. Hard to do, but got to be done. So now it's taking place. Noble Drew Ali dies mysteriously. Fard Muhammad appears, and if you look in the book, The Judas Factor by Carl Evans, it is a chapter on the history of Fard Muhammad that you will never see before. Mother, father, where he lived in the United States, who his girlfriend was, prison number, and so on and so forth of Fard Muhammad. The chapter and Judas Factor. The whole book should be read though. Now, Fard Muhammad mysteriously disappears. He becomes God in person. God in person. A takeoff on Jesus in Christianity. That the Christians got it from the Greeks. You know, the gods, quote unquote, Astaghfirullah, will come down and become human beings. Oh, she is fine. I'm going to become a human being, right? Boom. Get with her. She has a child who's half man, half God. Hercules. Hercules, the father of Zeus. Zeus saw this woman. He liked the way she looked. He came down in human form, mated with her. She has a son. His name is Hercules. Zeus goes back up to Mount Olympus, and Hercules is half man, half God. The Christians got that from the Greeks. No, specifically, they got it from the Romans. The Romans got it from the Greeks. The God come down in the form of a man thing. So now the nation now takes Fard Muhammad, makes this man into a God. God in the form of man. God who came in the person of. Now, African Americans have been taught that in slavery. God came in the person of a man, Jesus. So African Americans were already predisposed to believing in that. God coming in the person of a man. But this man was just different. His name was W.D. Fard Muhammad, so on and so forth, right? So he becomes deified. And then Elijah Muhammad, since he was taught by this man, becomes the messenger of Allah. A Rasul who brought a Risala, a book. And the nation had its day. The nation had its purpose. You know, they slapped the consciousness of black folks up and up. I'm just slapped the consciousness. You know, I mean, you know how what some Muslims do to us today when we get up there and talk about Jews. Some Muslims come up, you know, you got to take it easy. You can't talk about them like that. That's how people felt about white folks. You know, you can't talk about white people like that. What's wrong with y'all? And the nation was doing it. Bam, bam. And it was waking the people up to a certain extent. But it has the seeds of its own destruction inside of it. Because anybody who is worshiped, brothers and sisters, anybody who is worshiped, you're going to go off. Something's going to go wrong. A human being was not meant to be worshipped. So something's going to go wrong with the one who's being worshipped, and something is going to go wrong with the one who's worshiping. They're going to make a serious mistake. And when Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz said, man, I've realized how dangerous it is to worship another human being. When he was in Mecca, on the Hajj, on the plain of Arafat, I was standing there on the plain of Arafat, I realized how dangerous it is to worship another human being. Al-Hajj did it for 12 years. 12 years. And something went seriously wrong. Seriously wrong. Excuse me for moving fast. Drew Ali, Garvey, Fard Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, and now we have to deal with Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz. Very briefly. When Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz, brothers and sisters, was kicked out the Nation of Islam, that was a blessing from Allah. That was a blessing from Allah. Anybody who has read any books on Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz knows that Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz was one of the most dedicated people in the Nation of Islam. Him and his entire family. The Little family. Read the book The Seventh Child by his nephew. He talked about how the Little family actually went into the Nation of Islam and built the Nation of Islam up. He said they always talk about Malcolm. No, the Little family. They carried on the tradition of their parents who went around to the United States setting up chapters of the UNIA. I mean, setting up chapters. His mother writing articles for the Negro World and writing reports and sending reports to New York. And those reports coming out in the Negro World. Malcolm's mother and father were activists. Activists. Malcolm's mother had him not eating pork. Malcolm's mother said, you got to learn another language. She taught him French. They always owned their own property. They built their own houses. They grew their own food. There was a certain mentality in that little household. There was a certain mentality of self-determination. Garveyites. In the book The Seventh Child, they talk about how the Little family, when they saw Elijah Muhammad, they said, there it is. Because that's what they grew up with. Elijah Muhammad had the most largest movement, the most serious movement since the Garvey movement. It was serious. Talking about $750,000 a week coming in. The most organized, the richest, and the most militant. Serious. Serious. So the Little family, remembering the legacy of their parents, got into the Nation of Islam and built the nation up. So here was Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz in the nation, not worrying about nothing. Sister Betty telling them, may Allah bless Sister Betty and have mercy on her. Sister Betty telling them, we need to put this house in our name. We don't need, the nation going to take care of us. Just give me a plane car. Just give me a plane car. I just want a plane car. Al-Hajj Malik put 30,000 miles in a car in 6 months. That's how much he was getting around, helping to build the nation. Right? Anyone who read or was with him knew his sincerity. His sincerity was beyond question. Beyond question, from what you could see. But inside the Nation of Islam was the FBI and some corrupt nation officials. And they hooked up. Because if the FBI came into our movement, which one day they will, if they haven't already, the first thing they're going to do is look for the weakest people. The weakest people.